And welcome. We were so excited to bring this discussion to you today because I have one of my very special people and friends here with us who is recently a successful home seller and just closed on her property. And I wanted you to be able to get some insight from someone who has just gone through a very frustrating, stressful experience. So, Donna, welcome.
Thank you. I'm so glad to be here with you.
I love when we get to do special projects like this together and, just educating the public on what it's like to kind of go through this whole process. So, we've been talking about putting your house on the market for several months. How long of a process did it take you to finally say, you and Michael to say, okay, we're going to do this. We're going to move forward and put our house on the market?
Well, I mean, really, if you remember, we talked about it for a good year before we actually did it. I kept saying, that I wanted to build and, if I ever build that you would sell my house, and I always kept saying that. And then we kept doing the radio show and I would learn so much in that process. And it just became more clear that this was the time to do it. And so, got some more information on building and, Michael and I talked about it and we were like, let's do it. Let's go ahead. Let's move forward. And so I would say probably a good year out is when we made the decision finally. And then, several months of just thinking about when is the right time, what's the right time to do it, what do we have to do to get it done. And so yeah, just took a while.
Well, it does. It's not something you wake up one day and go, I think I'm going to sell this house.
Right.
It is a process. And I think that is the biggest question. Like, okay, so what do we do now? Like, how do we get this ready? Like, how much is it going to cost me? Like, what are the fees associated? All those questions kind of fled through your head. So that's when, of course, we don't do anything subtly. We brought in the camera crew and and kind of went over the process specifically for you and your house. And then sent Jari over, my stager, and she kind of helped put together a very long, overwhelming list, right?
Yes. And Jari, if you're listening, bless your heart. I was so overwhelmed. I was so intimidated. I, let me just be real. I was really scared when you came over. I did not know what to expect. I just knew we have a lot of stuff that we need to do. And I knew we needed to tackle it and do it. And we've been wanting to do all these things for a long time. But I knew the list was coming. I just didn't know it was going to be 3 pages. And so, when we started getting the list, and then later after she left, we started dividing the list up on who gets to do what. And Michael's list was a lot longer than mine.
Bless him. And he's so calm about it.
And he literally did every single thing on his list. I didn't do everything on my list, or I didn't complete everything on my list. I may have started it, but we got most everything done, and she gave amazing recommendations. Her ideas were just spot on. We did everything just about. Of course, now we still have people come in our house, and you wouldn't know that we live here because there's nothing that identifies us in the house.
Well, and so, yeah.
That's what you have to do.
That's right. And, you've lived in this house for 16 years.
Right.
And you have raised 3 babies in this house, teenagers on to college. And, you're more concerned about their growth charts that are, on the wall than you are about, maybe a paint or a ding in the wall or, what a door looks like. Or so it can be extremely overwhelming because, like, hey, here's 16 years of things you need to catch up on.
Yes, exactly. And you talked about that growth chart. There's an actual growth chart inside the door that goes down into the basement. It's on the wall where the kids would sign their names. They would do a hash mark, where they how tall they were, and they would date it, and it's still there. And I don't know what we're going to do with that. We're going to leave it and let the new homeowners paint over it. We might just do that because I don't think I can paint over that. I can't.
know.
So I'm going to take a good picture of it, I think, Jenny, and I think I've decided I'm going to get a good picture, a good frame it really good, and take it to the new house. I think that
Yeah.
would,
That's
the perfect thing
exactly
to do.
what you need to do, to take all those memories that growth chart, signifies, and put it in the new house, because you can't take everything with you. The new house is smaller.
Yeah. But one thing you can take is the memories.
Yeah.
And we have so many, 16 years worth of memories here. And it flew by.
So that's part of it. Okay. It's all of the uncertainty, not knowing what to do, how to do it, the education, the flood of lists, all of this comes over you, and it's so emotional. You're making the choice to make a move, but you love and have loved every minute in your house. So there is a lot going on when you decide to put your house on the market and go through this. So that's why I've explained to you, that's why all realtors are crazy. Because we take care of people in their crazy state.
I mean, I think it kind of takes one to know one, that kind of game, We made a good team, I'll say that.
Yes, that's true. And, no matter how much you prepare and plan and you know what to expect, there's always going to be unexpected things that pop up no matter what. I had a silly thing where all my emails always attach automatically on certain things, didn't have something attached in the paperwork. And so that caused a little bit of friction till we got that all worked out.
Yeah.
And, but my job is to fight for what's right for my client. Their agent's job is to fight what's right for their client. But, it always works out in the end. And so we got through all that. But let's go back to Jari's list. So Jari came in, and you know what Jari's doing right now during the pandemic? She is doing, whenever I hire her to go to a house, she's actually doing it virtually now. She's doing it by FaceTime and really doing a fantastic job. She's able to still capture everything that needs to be done in a house and make it, perfect for the market. And we have that discussion. Okay, Donna, if you do just everything on the list, this is about the price range we should be able to get. Okay, because you're going to look the best for competition. If you don't want to do all of that, we can go in the middle range. Right? Or if you don't want to do any of it at all, we can come in over here and let somebody pay less and take all of that on themselves. So, we had those options, and you and Michael were like, nope, we're going to do it all on the list. And I'm like, wow, that is ambitious. That's awesome.
We did. And I when I said I didn't do everything on my list, I mean, I started most things on my list. I just didn't finish them, but my list was not very long. He had the big things, and then we had a list together. We had to bring in people to get things done. So, but that was fun. But I'll tell you what, once, and this, I guess, is something everybody goes through that brings Jari in and prepares to sell their house. Once we got everything done, I was like, do we want to sell this house?
I know. Because it was night and day.
It was night and day.
Beautiful.
And I loved it. I was like, what have we been waiting on? We loved it. We loved it. Everything, the choices down from the paint color to countertops and everything. It was
right. Yeah, and touch
perfect.
a little bit, touch on exactly what you did to get the house ready.
So we had original. Basically, our kitchen was pretty much original. We had already had hardwood floors in before we moved in, but our island was original. We had, what do you call that we had?
You had Formica laminate?
Yeah, ugly. It wasn't good. Now it might be okay for some people, but it was not. It was time to go. So we upgraded. We got some granite countertops, and we got a new
I
stove.
know, and it was beautiful.
Oh, we got, because we had an original white stove that was the gas stove that was here when we moved in. So we got our stainless steel gas stove, and man, when we got that, I was like, I can do all the Thanksgiving dinners now, and like for the whole neighborhood. And, uh, so
That's a
that
so
was
you thing to do too.
so, oh my gosh, I was so happy about that. So we got that in, and then they came in and put the countertops in, and the countertops were not just the island, it was all along the back countertop right here.
The backsplash.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
We had the backsplash done. We had all the countertops where the sink is, and then we have two little other areas um, that had them also as well. And so a year before, we had the cabinets painted, and so that brought out the white, and then the paint color in the kitchen, and then we went ahead and did the paint color in the whole house, the same paint, so everything was agreeable gray, and it just was perfect. Everything came together after that. So everything we chose after that came together. But that was a really big thing. We also changed the way our furniture was in our rooms. I didn't know there was a feng shui or whatever you call it. Didn't know that. So we didn't want any bad juju in our house, you know.
Right.
So we got all that fixed, and we really liked the setup when we did that too, and got some window treatments put up that was so inexpensive. I didn't even. I mean, I didn't when I said I upgraded the window treatments, but it just took a trip, you know, to Target or Walmart or TJ Maxx to find the exact pieces that I wanted that complemented the room and the paint, and got those put up, and it just brought everything together. I mean, it really did. And at that point, you could walk into any room and just go, "Wow, this just looks so much different," you know, and
Really did. It really helped the flow of everything. So
yeah.
then when buyers could come in, and like you said earlier, you took down all your personal
Yes.
pictures and they can see themselves in it. So and there was such a difference because people were, the house is so attractive. It's got this porch that wraps all around it. And so I knew everybody would be fighting to get in. And what's funny is some of the people that kind of hounded beforehand, before all the list was done, they were like, yeah, okay. But after you got it done, everybody's like, I want it.
Yeah.
So that's the difference. And I'm sharing that as real talk here with a home seller because that's the difference that these little things that she's talking about make. People will fight for and get emotional about something that they fall in love with and see themselves in it. So as opposed to, yeah, it's nice. You want
Yeah.
you want people to go, oh my gosh, I can't live another day without having this house.
Right, right. Yeah.
Um,
Something else that we did that I didn't mention, which seems really simple to do and doesn't cost anything. We decluttered. And that is huge because I didn't realize how much clutter we had built up. I mean, over the years, yes, we take a bag to vapor here and there, but overall, we had so much stuff that we weren't using and didn't need, and we were able to, bless somebody else with it. And so we gave so much away. We did get a storage facility, which we knew we'd have to get at some point anyway, from the moving process, to get out. But we have a few things in storage right now, and so that really helped. But the only thing I didn't declutter was my closet. But Jenny, I started decluttering that yesterday. I
well,
figured,
good for you.
I've got some time on my hands. I'm going to
Yeah.
do that. So I have a big trash bag in there now. So I've been going through my clothes going, it's been a couple years since I've worn that. So that can go. So I'm doing that now. But everything else, yeah, the declutter was huge. That makes a big difference too. And like I said, that doesn't cost anything.
Right, it doesn't, and it adds so much of just that what I call the ambiance, the feel of the home.
Yes.
And every house has a soul, and it's really just my job to tap in and kind of connect with it, so that I can explain it and explain like how the home lives. That's my job. That's why I take over, right? So
Well, and you did when you wrote that thing, and you remember the night before you wrote the listing, and you kept saying, I'm not there yet. I'll get there. I'll get there with the wording." And so I gave you some I said, "Okay, well, here's some memories. Here's some things about my house." And I told you how we chose this house. And I told you how I turned around the corner and I saw the house and I knew this is my home. But before that, how I was so distraught living in Atlanta, not knowing where we were going to live. And Michael came home from work one day and we heard that song, Paint Me a Birmingham, and the explanation of that song. And I said, that is my house. That song is describing my house. And so we literally went into the home searching process 16 years ago with that song in our heads and in our hearts, because that's what we wanted. And first thing we did when we got here is we put up a front porch swing. And now I don't think I ever got out there in a dress, a flowy dress, but that's what we did. We put that swing up and I sat in that swing and I was like, all is right in the world now because I'm where I want to be. It was home. It was home.
it is. And it's just that kind of house. And you're giving me chills just by you talking about it, because I felt like I was so proud when I finally got it all together. And it
Oh,
just,
it brought tears to my eyes. I cried when I read that. I
it
said,
just
this is
clicked.
it. This is it.
Yeah, I feel the same way. And really, it takes hours to do that. When you, it's not something simple. You don't want to write, "Hey, cute 5 bedroom with porch." Um, that's
I
not
mean,
going to get
that
anybody
works for
excited.
some. That works for some houses,
Sure, it could,
but
but
not for this house.
no, and it's not connecting with the soul of it. I had to make sure that, and also, I sent over Shawn, the exterior stager, and the difference that he made with power washing, the walkway, and that really made the photos just pop, and it's so good. He can totally change, because you still love it and look good and you're like, oh, it's going to be fine. But then after he gets done, you're like, oh my God, that looks so good.
Yeah, I pulled up that because I was gone when he did that. And I pulled up that day and I went, oh my goodness. Wow. Because it looked so clean and so bright. And the sun was shining that day. It was a perfect day.
Yes.
It was just it was awesome. It all started to come together. Like everything was happening. Everything happened. You remember, like it was like a week or two where everything just sort of lined up perfectly, and it was like all coming together. And I'm like, this is about to happen. The house is about to go on the market. Like it's real.
Right. And that's, again, that's scary. And then it's like when people start coming in and booking appointments, what do they think? Well, why didn't they like it? It's like, it's such an emotional thing the whole time. But, having that, going through all of that process, about a year thinking about it, and then prepping for months, getting all of that work done, knowing what the goal is, probably having the kids being a little bit upset too, because, they're emotionally attached. It's their home. My kids are still complaining, and I moved out 3 years ago for my from our last home. And then, having the stager come in, doing the list of, and then having the exterior stager come in, and then the photos, and then the marketing and descriptions start. So it takes a lot to get this going and doing it the right way. But the beauty of it is, by the time all of it's done, I could sit there and because you did such a great job, you and Michael, and say, you know what, I really could take a look at the numbers to say where we thought we were going, and how nothing in the neighborhood had even sold for as much as what I thought. We're just going to do this. We're pushing it up another 10 grand. And we just tried it and we prepared for the worst. Hey, we can always come down, and it ended up working. And that's why you need somebody who's on your side, because a lot of people would say just keep it low so it's a sure thing. You want somebody who is fighting for your best situation, and it ended up working out beautifully. So you got two offers, and a whole lot of interest. A lot of phone calls. I was over there even a good bit, showing the place. And yeah, you're closed now. So
Close, yeah. And and I want to say the offer, I mean, the offer that we went with, we got in 48 hours of having our house on the market. Within 48 hours. It we it was, I mean, that offer came in, and I mean, we did some negotiation, but that's who got our house. And they were great to work with, by the way.
yeah, and bless them. I mean, bless them. They've gone through so much emotional stuff too.
Yeah.
We love them. They may not feel the love right now. I'm
They
hoping,
do.
I'm hoping by the time that you get to switch out properties, that they will feel that how grateful, and it was just meant to be. You prayed for them from the first day that they walked in. You felt like this was their home, and we were going to do our part to make sure that they got it, while protecting you. So I just think it works out. Always I get to see God come up every single time in every transaction, and boy, he did.
I mean, and you're right. I pray for them. And I told you, I want them to have this house. Like, I really felt like, and I hadn't even met them face to face. I just said, I really feel like, because I knew their story, and I said, I know I want them to have this house. And yes, there was some negotiation. And at some point, I felt like I had to take my emotions out of it. But in the end, it was a business transaction, but I feel like God was all over it, and from beginning to end, and the right people are going to live in this home.
Yeah, and I know they're going to love it.
They are.
So, any advice? And Michael, of course, cool as a cucumber.
The whole way.
I love that. So, any advice you would have for someone who's thinking about putting their house on the market?
I think the most important thing is just patience. With yourself, give yourself some patience, and know that you don't have to rush it. I mean, if you don't have to leave town, or change jobs or whatever, just give yourself some patience and the time to actually let the process work, because it will. And don't rush it, but also have patience with your agent, have patience with the people that are coming in, other agents. That was a big deal, just to know. And when you would let me, you would say, hey, we have a showing at whatever time, and it wasn't like, oh my gosh, I got to do this and that. I was like, okay. And we have a family group text, and I would text them, we have a showing at 1 o'clock. And that was all I would text them. I didn't have to text them what to do, because we'd already been over that. They knew what to do. And so they were out of here 30 minutes ahead of time usually. And that worked. But that's a really big deal, to have patience with everybody you're dealing with, but like, so especially with yourself, but also follow the suggestions, listen. And like you said, if you don't want to do anything, okay, but don't have high expectations. If you don't want to do those things, know that this is probably what you're going to get if you don't want to do these things. But if you do want to get more, I mean, it is a business. It is what you have to do. So if you want to sell your house for, the most that you can get it for, you have to invest a little bit in the beginning, in the upfront. And so if you do that, have patience in that situation as well. But go pick out the items, go make the appointments, have contractors come in and look at your areas, but do those things, because in the long run, that will pay off. And it did for us. It paid off for us.
It did beautifully. All right. Well, thank you so much for joining me today and just kind of giving, a peek behind the curtain of what happens when you put all of this plan in place. Instead of, I didn't want to just put something out there, hey, yay, 2 offers sold for, this amount in 48 hours. I wanted people to know a real heart of what it's like, that it is frustrating, that there's a lot to it. But again, you get a sweet reward at the end.
Yeah. And closing, I thought closing was going to be a nightmare because of this social distancing. And it was a piece of cake. We just drove up. We didn't get out of our car except to take a picture, and we still stayed 6 feet or more apart from you. But it turned out that it worked. They brought the papers to us to our car. We signed. They went back in. They brought more papers out. We signed. It seemed too easy. At the end.
That was just because we were still working through issues right up until the last minute.
Yeah.
That part was easy.
We were, but we got it worked out. So, yeah. So that was good. That was good. Yeah.
Shout out to Rely and Chelsea for making that process easy. Blake is the sweetest, and he was. So he helped us out. But again, thank you so much for being here and giving advice to people who are thinking about putting their house on the market. And we're so happy that you're staying in Chelsea. Selling one Chelsea house and going to another one in Adams Ridge. And it's going to be such a great move. I can't wait to see the finished house.
So shout out to Ridgecrest Homes too, because David Brady put together a phenomenal floor plan for us. And I'm so excited.
I know. I am too. Thank you, baby. Okay. Well, tell Michael I said thank you again for everything. And it's just been my honor to serve y'all. And we have so much more fun coming up, girl.
Yes, we do. Thanks so much for having me. This was fun.
Yeah, it was. Thanks everybody for watching. And if you have any questions, just send me a message or even contact Donna. You can ask her some questions too. She's a pro now. She knows how to do this.
And I think most everybody has my number. So
that's true. Thanks. And go drink some coffee. I know you love it in the morning.
Oh, girl.
Cheers.
Bye.
Bye.